Good morning. It's Wednesday, July 20th. I want to talk today about Congress' dangerous interference with catch share funding. The current NOAA budget for the 2012 fiscal year is going to be considered in Congress in the next few weeks. Today we print an op-ed by Brad Warren, the former editor of Pacific Fishing, talking about how dangerous it is that the anti-catch share advocates are allying with recreational fishermen whose ultimate objective is to end a lot of commercial fishing on many species. Let's look at the facts about catch share opposition. 70% of the U.S. fishery that takes place on the West Coast and Alaska strongly supports catch shares. 30% of the U.S. fishery, where it takes place in the Gulf, in the Chesapeake Bay, Mid-Atlantic, and New England, has some elements of opposition to catch shares. New England by itself accounts for about 7% of U.S. fisheries, yet they've been among the loudest voices. Who's on the sidelines egging them on? It's groups like the Coastal Conservation Coalition and the Recreational Fishermen's Alliance. What the recreational fishermen object to is any permanent share of the resource being allocated to commercial fisheries. Their principal objection to catch shares is not catch shares themselves. Their principal objective is that they want the recreational sector to be able to grow exponentially with no limits and let the commercial sector always absorb this future growth. And that is much harder to do when you have a catch share fishery. For example, in Alaska halibut, the ultimate solution for the growth of the charter fleet requires them to compensate the commercial fishermen if they're going to use a greater share of the catch. This is what is really behind the recreational fishermen's fight against catch shares. They want to be exempt from all limits. They want limits to apply to commercial fishing only, and they don't want to set up a situation where they might have to compensate commercial fishermen if they increase recreational catches. The Jones Amendment, which prohibited funding on catch shares, is only for 1 year. It's not likely to be renewed in 2012. However, the cuts to NIMF's budget, which are engendered by this kind of attack that's going on about NOAA and NIMF's fishery management, are very serious and actually are going to end up cutting a lot of the support that's even existing in New England for the current fish management regime. NIMFS has been very forthcoming in supporting as much as they could some of the expenses of going to a new fishery management system. With the budget cuts that are envisioned by this coalition that is actually opposing NOAA, many of those funds will not be there. This is a very dangerous situation because what it ends up doing is it basically reverts, in New England at least, back to the status quo where fish dealers and a few influential people who control permit banks and things like that actually end up dictating much of how the fishery operates. We don't want to go back to that system. We want a system that empowers fishermen to develop new markets, that empowers them to develop new ways of harvesting, and empowers them to get the highest value out of the harvest. We all know that control of the resource is control of the heart of the profitability of fisheries. And this is why catch shares is so important. So we hope you take a look at this op-ed by Brad Warren and look with skepticism at the congressional battle about catch shares, which is really, once again, recreational fishermen trying to put the commercial fishing industry in a box. In Nantucket, Mass., this is John Sackton.